Well, if we owned Greenland, that's not a problem, because then that's our territory and we can put whatever we want there, not to say we can't.
In a move that's raising eyebrows across the Atlantic, the Trump administration is doubling down on its long-standing interest in acquiring Greenland.
Because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is scheduled to sit down with Danish and Greenlandic officials this Wednesday, January 15th, for what could be tense negotiations over the future of the vast Arctic territory.
Greenland, does the U.S. intend to buy Greenland? Can you clarify your comments to lawmakers this week?
Well, that's always been the president's intent from the very beginning. He said it very early on. I mean, this is not new. He talked about it in his first term, and he's not the first U.S. president that has examined or looked at how could we acquire Greenland. There's an interest there.
President Donald Trump has made no secret of his view. Greenland is vital to American national security.
I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
In recent comments, he warned that without U.S. control, Russia or China could move in, a scenario he says he will not allow.
We need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't.
The president has pointed to Greenland's strategic location, its untapped rare earth minerals critical for technology and defense, and the growing militarization of the Arctic by rival powers. The push echoes Trump's 2019 proposal to purchase the island, an idea Denmark quickly dismissed as absurd.
Speaking of Greenland, there's a question for you that I want to pose. What is the difference between Greenland and Donald Trump? Greenland is not for sale.
But in his second term, the rhetoric has intensified.
No, he could never buy us. Ever in my life, I would...
500,000?
No.
Administration officials have discussed a range of options behind closed doors, with Secretary Rubio telling lawmakers the preference remains a negotiated purchase, while carefully declining to rule out other paths.
If the president identifies a threat to the national security of the United States, every president retains the option to address it through military means. As a diplomat, which is what I am now, and what we work on, we always prefer to settle it in different ways. That included in Venezuela. We tried repeatedly to reach an outcome here that did not involve having to go in and grab an indicted drug trafficker.
Denmark and Greenland, meanwhile, insist the territory is not for sale. Greenland's semi-autonomous government has emphasized its right to self-determination, and Copenhagen has framed the upcoming meeting as an opportunity for dialogue.
I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
That's not strength. It's unhinged. Keir Starmer must stand up for international law, and God forbid, if any attack against Greenland does take place, the UK should immediately place sanctions on the Trump organisation. We should place an immediate ban on its operations in Britain, and we should hold a parliamentary debate on whether or not we should continue hosting US forces on our soil at all.
Greenland sits atop vast deposits of rare earth elements, materials essential for everything from smartphones to fighter jets, and controls key Arctic shipping routes increasingly navigable due to climate change.
Look at all of these Russian military bases, hundreds of them. And in those Russian military bases, which are on Russian land, but incredibly close, if not in the Arctic Ocean and Greenland, which is incredibly close to us, we look at some of the assets here, and that's where we start to take notice. There are naval assets here. Think a lot of their nuclear submarines, things of that nature.
NATO allies have expressed alarm, with some European leaders quietly coordinating responses should talks break down.
Again, what it comes down to is Russia is a northern country. Of course, we're going to have more going on up here. What can we do to monitor this, to combat this, to deter this? We had the nuclear missile crisis in Cuba because they were trying to get closer to us. Well, if we owned Greenland, that's not a problem, because then that's our territory and we can put whatever we want there, not to say we can't in some ways already.
For now, all eyes are on Wednesday's meeting in Washington. Will it produce compromise or escalation? As one Greenlandic official put it, hope lies in understanding, but compromise may be hard to come by. We'll continue to follow this developing story. Stay with us. This is ShowNewTrend reporting live.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's show. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.